V-engine is a common configuration for an IC engine. It consists of two cylinder banks usually containing the same number of cylinders and is connected to a common crankshaft. This engine construction places the cylinders at an angle with each other. The angle between the cylinders varies from 60 to 90 degrees. This angle between the cylinders forms a V shape when viewed from the front of the engine, and that is why this engine is called the V-type engine. Types of V engines which have reached production are V2 or V-twin, V3, V4, V5, V6, V8, V10, V12, V14, V16, V18, V20, and V24. V6, V8, and V12 engines are the most common layout for automobile engines. V2 engine are used in some motorcycles, and V4, V5, and V8 engines also used in bikes. V16, V20, and V24 are quite uncommon in automobile use and are restricted to mainly large truck and locomotive usage with some exceptions. The inline engine is a much simpler design than the V, with a single bank containing all of the cylinders in a row. Inline layouts are heavier and much longer, and they require more space in terms of length. V-engine's design construction considerably reduces height, length, and weight of the engine compared to an inline engine, with an equal number of cylinders. V-engines with the same number of cylinders are almost half the size, allowing the hood to be much shorter, although it increases the width slightly, but it does not increase the width of a car. Another aspect of this advantage is that V-engines can be made bigger, and thus more powerful than inline engines. Now let's find out how all these V-engines work, starting with V-twin engine. A V-twin engine has a two-cylinder piston engine arranged in a V-shape where the cylinders share a common crankshaft. It is widely used in motorcycles, installed either transversely or longitudinally. These terms are most often used to refer to the crankshaft orientation relative to the frame. The transversely oriented engine is the most common arrangement, and a less common arrangement is to mount the engine longitudinally. The most common V-angle for a V-twin engine is 90 degrees, which can achieve a perfect primary balance. If not, balance shafts are usually required to reduce the vibration. One of the first V-twin engines was built by Gottlieb Daimler in 1889, and it was used in the Stahlradwagen, a steel-wheeled car. V-twin engines have also been used for industrial engines and in several small cars, and 2018 Morgan three-wheeler used the V-twin engine. The V3 engine consists of two cylinders in one bank and one cylinder in the other bank. It is a rare configuration which has been mostly used in two-stroke engines for motorcycles competing in Grand Prix motorcycle racing. The first example was the 1955 DKW 350. The Honda MVX 250F and Honda NS 400 are sports bikes used V3 engines. V4 engine is a four-cylinder piston engine that consists of two cylinders in each bank, where the cylinders share a common crankshaft. Most V4 engines have two crank pins that are shared by opposing cylinders. The crankshaft is usually supported by three main bearings. Compared to the more common inline 4 engine layout, a V4 engine is much shorter. Although different V angles can be used, if the two pistons are at a 90 degrees angle, with shared crank pins, the engine offers the additional advantage of perfect primary balance that reduces vibration. Disadvantages of V4 engines include its design being inherently wider compared to inline 4 engines. Having two separate banks of components increases cost and complexity. Four-cylinder engines tend to be fuel efficient and are a great buy if you are looking for a small and reliable car. These engines are commonly found in smaller, compact cars, which are easier to maneuver and park. The problem is that a V4 is very complicated. Like any V engine, a V4 needs two cylinder heads, two exhaust manifolds, two valve trains, and twice as many camshafts as an inline 4 engine. That means a V4 is expensive to develop and expensive to build. So that's why the V4 never caught on in cars, despite Ford and Launch's experimentation. The earliest automotive use of V4 engines were in Formula One cars. The first V4 engine used in production cars was the Lancia V4 engine that was first used in the 1922 Lancia Lambda. The engine is initially designed for use in front-engine cars, It was used in various Ford models and also used in the front-wheel drive Saab 95, 96, and Saab Sonnet models. It was also used in the mid-engine Matra 530 sports car. The majority of 2020 MotoGP manufacturers chose the V4 engine for their bikes. V5 engine is a 5-cylinder piston engine, and the designs of this is very uncommon. In your 1980s, Oldsmobile developed a prototype V5 diesel engine, however it never reached production stages and the project was subsequently abandoned. The engine is based on the Oldsmobile V6 diesel engine with the fuel injection pump in the location of the missing 6th cylinder. The only V5 automobile engine to reach production was the VR5 engine, which is manufactured by Volkswagen. The VR5 was a narrow-angle engine with staggered cylinders, 3 cylinders on one bank and 2 on the other, sharing a single cylinder head. Volkswagen's VR5 engine was a truly unique piece of automotive history, and what immediately comes to mind is the fact that this engine is uneven and weird. Since one side of the engine has more mass than the other, it has an odd vibration. The VR5 saw use in the early 2000s, find its way into Mk4 Golfs, Jettas, B5 Gen Passats, and the new Beetles. And after they were eventually replaced by inline 4-cylinder engines with turbos in them that provided similar overall power output, but were lighter than the V5. The Honda RC211V, a MotoGP racing motorcycle, used a V5 engine. V6 engine consists of 6 cylinders, with 3 cylinders on each banks. In most engines, the 2 banks are at a right angle, 90 degrees, or less to each other. It is the second most common engine design in modern cars, after the inline 4. It can be powered by different types of fuels, including gasoline, diesel, and natural gas. The V6 is a very compact engine design, and they work well, and are suited to the popular transverse engine front-wheel drive cars. It has largely replaced the inline 6, which is too long to fit in many modern cars, but the V6 is more complicated and not as smooth as the inline 6. The engine is more compact and rigid, but also more prone to vibrations. It is also becoming a high-performance engine, with high power and torque output, and also provides good fuel economy. Due to the odd number of cylinders in each bank, V6 designs are unbalanced, whatever V-angle they use. There is also VR6 engines with a narrow angle between the cylinder banks. Volkswagen Group introduced the first VR6 engine in 1991. Some of the first V6 cars were built in 1905 by the Marmon Motor Car Company. The V6 engine was introduced into racing by Lancia, and they had some good results. Then Ferrari built the Dino V6, and it was used in the Ferrari 246 Formula 1 car. La Verda showed a 996cc V6 engine motorcycle. Later the engine was also enlarged for heavy truck and bus use. V8 engine is an 8-cylinder piston engine, in which 2 banks of 4 cylinders share a common crankshaft. The first known working V8 engine was produced by the French company in 1904, while the American Cadillac L-head engine is considered the first V8 engine to be produced. The popularity of V8 engines in cars was greatly increased following the introduction of the Ford Flathead V8 in 1932. V8 are common in purpose-designed engines for racing cars, in Australian auto racing most notably in the V8 supercars. Formula 1 began the 2006 season using V8 engines, which replaced the V10 engine later, to reduce costs and lower power. V8 engines are also used in large trucks, industrial equipment, and in airplane engines. V8 engines typically offer better power and acceleration. That's why V8 engines are claimed to be fit for most muscle cars. By pressing lightly on the accelerator, the driver can feel the abundant strength and power of the engine, which is one of the many reasons to hop into a V8 engine car and experience a refined and luxurious ride while enjoying the faster acceleration and better performance. Chevrolet Corvette Stingray, Aston Martin Vantage, Ford Mustang GT, BMW M5, and Ferrari SF90 Straydale luxury cars used the V8 engines. A V10 engine is a 10-cylinder piston engine, and they are much less common than V8 and V12 engines. The V10 configuration does not have perfect engine balance, since an unbalanced rocking couple is caused by each cylinder bank functioning as a straight 5 engine. Therefore, balance shafts are sometimes used to reduce the vibrations in a V10 engine. One of the first known V10 engines was used in the 1936 Busch-Sulzer, a prototype locomotive, of which 3 examples were produced in the United States. The Leopard 1 armored tank was also powered by the V10 diesel engine. The Volkswagen V10 TDI is a turbocharged V10 engine which was used in the Volkswagen Phaeton luxury sedan and Volkswagen Touareg SUV. Lamborghini V10, Porsche V10 engine, BMW S85, and Audi V10 used the V10 petrol engine. In motorcycles, the Milliard Viper V10 is a one-off motorcycle. It has an 8-liter Dodge Viper V10 engine producing 500 brake horsepower. The most widespread use of V10 engines has been in Formula 1 racing. V12 engine is a 12-cylinder piston engine, and they are more common than V10 engines, and less common than V8 engines. The first V12 engine was built in 1904 for use in racing boats. Due to the balanced nature of the engine and the smooth delivery of power, V12 engines were found in early luxury automobiles, boats, aircraft, and tanks. In Formula 1 racing, V12 engines were common in 1990s. Each bank of a V12 engine essentially functions as a straight-six engine, which has perfect primary and secondary engine balance. By using the correct V-angle, a V12 engine can therefore have a perfect balance. The even firing order for a 4-stroke V12 engine has an interval of 60 degrees, therefore this engine can be perfectly balanced only if a V-angle of 60 degrees is used. The drawback of a V12 engine is the extra cost, complexity, and friction losses, compared with engines containing fewer cylinders. However, the V12 engine is usually longer than V6 and V8 engines. The added length often makes it difficult to fit a V12 engine into a passenger car, but the length is not typically a problem for trucks and stationary applications. Due to its narrower width, the V12 is common as locomotive, armored tank, and marine engines. In twin-propeller boats, 2 V12 engines can be narrow enough to sit side by side, while 3 V12 engines are sometimes used in high-speed 3-propeller boats. Large fast cruise ships can have 6 or more V12 engines. V12 engines have often been used in Formula 1 in the 1964 Honda RA271 racing car. Several truck manufacturers, for example, the Tatra T813 and the Tatra T815 is available with a V12 diesel engine. V14 engine is a 14-cylinder engine, mounted on the crankcase in V-shape with 2 banks of 7 cylinders. It is a relatively rare layout, which is used on large medium-speed diesel engines that are used for power generation and marine propulsion. MAN B&W offers V14 layout for all its medium-speed diesel engines. It have been installed on Explorer Dream and Norwegian Spirit. In the past, V14 engines have also been offered in 19 SA-15 type Arctic cargo ships, which were built with 2 14-cylinder. The V14 offers 2 banks of 7 cylinders, so it's an odd configuration that would be hard to balance. A V12 would be easier and cheaper, and inherently balanced, so it makes a good choice for cars. V16 engine is a 16-cylinder piston engine, where 2 banks of 8 cylinders are arranged in V-shape. V16 engines are less common than engines with fewer cylinders, such as V8 and V12 engines. The first use of V16 engine was in the 1910 experimental aircraft, followed by several cars in the 1930s. Today, the most common applications for V16 engines are railroad locomotives, marine craft, and stationary power generators. The first production car to use a V16 engine was the Cadillac V16, introduced in January 1930. The 2003 Cadillac 16 concept car, and the Rolls-Royce 100EX concept car, was unveiled with a V16 engine. The car featured in the film Johnny English Reborn is also powered by the V16. The first known use of this engine in motor racing was the Maserati Tipo V4 car, used in Grand Prix racing, and it achieved a world speed record of 245.9 km per hour at an event in Italy. V16 engine was also used in Formula 1 racing from 1950 to 1955. V18 engine is an 18-cylinder piston engine, where 2 banks of 9 cylinders are arranged in V-shape. V18 engines are a rare configuration, with large V18 diesel engines have seen limited use in haul trucks, electricity generation, rail transport, and marine propulsion. There are no known cars that have used V18 engines. The Belle Z75600 and Liebherr T282B haul trucks are powered by the V18 engine. V20 engine is a 20-cylinder piston engine, where two banks of 10 cylinders are arranged in V-shape. Large diesel V20 engines have been used in diesel locomotives, haul trucks, electric generators, and marine applications. Beginning in the 1930s, Mercedes-Benz produced several large V20 diesel engines for use in marine applications. The electromotive diesel EMD 2-stroke V20 turbo diesel engine was used in 1960s in diesel-electric locomotives, such as the EMD SD45. V24 engine is a 24-cylinder piston engine, where two banks of 12 cylinders are arranged in V-shape. The majority of V24 engines have been dual V12 engines, where two separate V12 engines are placed in line with each other. V24 engine is used for very large trucks and locomotives. A very large V24, the AS6 engine, was built by Fiat in 1930s as a powerplant for the competition aeroplane Macchi MC-72. Thor 24, powered by a V24-71 Detroit diesel engine with 3,974 horsepower, is derived from a 92-foot boat and can be capable of accelerate up to 210 km per hour. Now you know about V engine, and if you want same type of video for inline and W engine, then let me know in the comments. If you don't know how the different parts of a car engine work, watch this video to find out.